Everyone, today we are going to discuss about what is machine learning, and then what is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, just a quick overview of these particular things, and also reinforcement learning. So if you see in this particular slide, you can see a small child who's looking at different vehicles like car, bus or fire truck, right? So at the beginning, the child does not know the difference between them. So for the child, everything may look at the same way. So when you are a child, if I say this is apple, this is tomato, or this is some other thing, you look everything looks in the same color, and if you think everything looks same, and everything you think it as apple or tomato or some other thing. So but slowly by seeing these vehicles again and again, the child starts understanding the differences. So now the child can say, okay, this is car, this is bus, and this is truck. Okay, so here the child is learning from experience. So in the same way, in machine learning, we give data to machine. So here the vehicles you see are like data that we give to the machine, and now the machine studies this data with the help of something called an algorithm. It studies all these patterns, and you can think of an algorithm like the brain of the machine. So just like how the child learns from observing the vehicles, the algorithm also learns by observing the data. Okay, after learning, when we give a new vehicle image to the machine, it can predict whether it is car, a bus, or a fire truck. So the basic idea of machine learning is we give data to the algorithm, right? The algorithm learns from the data and then it gives us the prediction. So this is how machine learning works. Okay, and now if you see here, you can see the three different situations. Each situation represents one type of machine learning. So let us understand them one by one with these examples. So first look at the image on the left side. Here you can see a teacher is teaching a student in the classroom. So the teacher is guiding the students and explaining what is right and what is wrong, if you see here. So the student is learning with the help of teacher. So this type of learning is called supervised learning. So here the machine also learns with the guidance. We give both input and the correct output to the machine so that it can learn properly. Now if you see here the child is playing with different toys with cubes and shapes. Nobody is teaching the child anything. So the child is observing the toys and trying to understand the differences on their own. Maybe the child groups the same shapes together or the same colors together. So here learning happens without any guidance, if you see here. Okay, so this type of learning is called unsupervised learning. Here the machine also learns patterns from data by itself without any help. Right, now look at this particular image. So here when the dog goes in the correct direction, it gets reward. If you see here, when the dog goes in the correct direction, it gets reward. When it goes in wrong direction, it does not get any reward. So the dog slowly learns what is the correct action. So this type of learning is called reinforcement learning. Here the machine learns by receiving rewards and penalties based on its actions. If it is going in right way, it get reward. If it is goes in wrong way, it gets penalty. Based on this, it will learn. Now let us understand what each one means. So if first look here, you can see the teacher is teaching a child using labeled examples like cat and dog. The teacher shows the image of cat and tells the child at this is a cat, and then teacher shows another image of a dog and tells the child that this is a dog. So here the child is learning with the help of correct answer. Okay, with the help of supervisor and with the help of correct answer, he is learning. So similarly in supervised learning also, we teach the machine using labeled data. This means we give both the input and the output to the machine. So machine learns properly with guidance. Now you see here, the child is looking at different fruits like apple, banana and orange. So but nobody is telling the child which fruit is what, like it is apple or it is banana or orange. So the child observes the fruit carefully and starts understanding the differences on their own. So maybe the child groups round fruits together, it may be, or long fruits separately. So learning happens without any guidance. Similarly, in unsupervised learning also, the machine learns from unlabeled data. We give only input data but no correct output data. Okay. So the machine finds the pattern by itself in unsupervised learning. Now you can see the robot playing the game, okay, and receiving the rewards. When the robot performs correct action, it gets the reward. If it makes mistake, it does not get any reward and it gets penalty. Slowly by trying again and again, the robot learns what action is correct. So this is called reinforcement learning. Here learning happens by interacting with the environment using rewards and penalties. Now here you can see two types of problems. One is regression, okay, and classification. So fine, let us understand classification using the image below. Okay, so you can see a cat and dog. Suppose we show these animal images to a child and ask the child, is that cat or dog? Now the child has to choose the correct category. So the output is, here is not a number, it is a label. It may be either cat or dog. So this type of problem is called classification. Here we are classifying things into categories. Now let us understand regression using a graph shown above. Okay, suppose we want to predict students' marks based on how many hours they studied. If a student studies for 2 hours, let us say, maybe they get 40 marks. If a student studies for at least 5 hours, maybe they get 70 marks. So here we are predicting a number. So the max can be 50, 60, 80 or something like that. So this type of problem is called regression. Here the output is continuous like a number. So one more example I can give: house price prediction. Today the house price may be different, tomorrow the house price may be different. It may be decreased or it may be increased, but the value will be changing continuously. So that type of problem it comes under regression. Okay. Now here you can see we are grouping the similar data. In unsupervised learning there will be two types. One is association and the one is clustering. Suppose we give many students data to the machine. Okay, nobody tells the machine which students are good or average, but the machine observes the data and automatically groups similar students together, whether it is based on marks, whether it is based on attendance. So this type of things we call it as clustering. Here the machine finds the patterns and groups the similar data. Now look at the right side of the image. Okay, here how you can see robot training a dog to kick the ball into the goal. If you see here, so when the dog kicks the ball correctly, it gets reward, but slowly by receiving rewards, the dog learns the correct action. So similarly the machine learns the best action through rewards and penalties. That is what about these three types. Now if you see here, types of data. So we understand what type of data is used in each type of machine learning. Let us understand with supervised learning. So here you can see a cat image with label that says cat. This means the data already has the correct answer. So when we give this image to machine, we are also telling the machine that this is cat. Similarly, if we are giving a dog image, we also tell the machine that this is dog. So the machine learns from both input and the correct output. So this type of data is called labeled data. Just like how teacher tells the student this is cat and this is dog. So learning becomes easy with the guidance. Okay. Now look at this middle part in unsupervised learning. Here you can see the different animals, but there are no labels. There is no label. Okay. So the machine does not know which one is cat and which one is dog. It only observes the data and tries to find the similarities. Maybe it groups similar animals together based on shape or size. So this type of data is called unlabeled data. So here learning happens without any guidance. Now look at this Here there is no predefined data or label given to machine. Instead, the machine interacts with the environment. It performs some action and receives feedback from in the form of reward or penalty. Based on this feedback, the machine learns what action is correct. So learning happens without uh, feeding or without labeling the data. So the learning happens through interaction with the environment instead of labeled data. If you see here, in supervised learning, we'll be having external supervision. Already I mentioned. In unsupervised learning, no supervision. But whereas in reinforcement learning also no supervision, it completely works on reward and penalty. Now, the main of supervised learning is to predict futures. Okay, the main aim is to predict future outcomes. For example, suppose a teacher know how many hours a student studied in the past and how many marks they got. Now, based on the previous data, the teacher can predict how many marks a student may get in the future. So here we are predicting the outcome using previous data. Similarly, in supervised learning, the machine learns from past labeled data and predicts the future results. Now, if you see unsupervised learning, the main aim here is to discover hidden patterns in the data. For example, suppose a child has many different toys. The child is not told how to group them, but by observing the child may group toys based on the color or shape. So the child is finding patterns by themselves. Similarly, in unsupervised learning also, the machine discovers the hidden patterns in the data, right? The main aim of this particular reinforcement learning is to learn a series of actions. For example, you can see the dog trying to perform an action using a remote toy, if you see here. Okay, so at first the dog may not know what to do, but after trying again and again, it learns with action that gives the best results. Okay, similarly, the reinforcement learning also, the machine learns the best sequence of actions step by step. If you see here, we'll be giving labeled data as input and we'll be training the model. Training the model is nothing but a child. Okay, and we'll be giving the algorithm. Okay, then we are also giving the known output to the machine. But if you see the unsupervised learning, a child is given many toys, okay, of different shapes and colors, but nobody tells the child how to arrange them. So the child observes the toys and starts grouping the similar ones. That's just now I explained. Maybe all red toys in one group, all blue toys in another group. So here learning happens by understanding the patterns. Okay. Similarly, in unsupervised learning, the machine learning explores the data and discover the pattern itself. But whereas here we'll be following trial and error. If it is success, then we'll follow the same path. If it is not, we'll be having the finality and then we'll not go in such direction. So if you see here, labeled data will be giving as the direct input and we'll be teaching the machine the correct output also. And you will be giving some other image. For example, if I say, if I train a student or child that this is apple, this is banana, or this is something, based on them the child predicts the output. But whereas in unsupervised learning, we'll completely on unlabeled data. Okay, so here based on input and reward, it interacts with environment. Based on them, reinforcement learning works. So if you see some algorithms in supervised learning, linear regression, which is the most important, I already gave a video on that, please do watch. And logistic regression, SVM, KNN, random forest, these are the classification algorithms which comes under supervised learning. And unsupervised learning will be having K means, a priori, and C means also. Whereas in reinforcement learning, Q learnings, SARSA are the famous algorithms. So if you see the applications of supervised learning, we will be evaluating risk, we'll be forecasting the sales, we'll be forecasting the weather also. So unsupervised learning is completely recommendation system and anomaly detection. Okay, so reinforcement learning is used for self-driving cars and even the gaming things. So this is what about machine learning and the types of machine learning. So if you are having any doubts, let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys.